if Google doesn't know you exist, it's going to take an awfully long time for Google to find you, unless a lot of people are going to your website right off the get-go.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 149, and I am going to follow up last week's episode from Court all about launching a brand with an episode all about launching a website. So maybe you've done a whole new rebrand, you're launching a brand new website, or maybe you're updating your copy, or maybe your website is just outdated and you just need to update it to reflect what you are doing now. Regardless of what you're doing and whether it is a minor update or a whole overhaul, this episode is for you, especially if you're thinking about doing this in the first half of the year. And a lot of times we just think that if we build a website or we create something online that Google is automatically going to find it. And sadly, that's not the case. As you can imagine, there are people doing this all over the world every single day, every single minute. Google has a lot to do and a lot to index and a lot to sort through. And machines can only work so fast. So a way to make this happen even faster is to make sure we do these things to tell Google that you exist, that your website is updated, that you care about the content within your website, and you're dedicated to making that content high quality, inclusive of all the things that you want, and something that Google likes along with your audience. So let's dig into these 5 things that you need to do if you are launching, relaunching, changing, any of those kind of things with your website. So let's start with number 1. I want you to think about your website structure. So this means having clear navigation, organizing your pages logically, and using URLs that include keywords and consider long-term growth of your business. So I want you to think about this. I kind of like to visually map this out. So for me, I love building these in Canva. And I actually have a little template. You can steal ours. If you head over to our show notes, I have a link for you so that you can steal our template, just because I like to view it visually to kind of see how this is coming to life. You can easily just map this out on a notebook with a piece of paper and a pen and just start writing out all the pages of your website. Or you can even just open Excel if you're an Excel person and you want to have everything live in there. It doesn't need to be fancy. You do not need to have some kind of big ol' UX strategy built out in some complex document. You really just need to write out all the pages of your website. Make sure they're organized logically. Make sure people understand them. A really good thing you can do is ask a friend and say, could you understand my website if you saw it laid out this way? So that's definitely one of the things you can do. And when I map this out for my clients, I always do this in 2 different ways. So I start by doing some competitive research because I want to make sure that I see what else is happening in the world of their competition. What pages do your competitors have on their website? Do you find them helpful, or are you really not liking the way their navigation is set up? Take notes on both the positive and the negative, because understanding bad navigation can actually help you avoid those traps on your own website too. So I'd love to do some research there, and I would make sure that you start with Google. Don't take your competition from Instagram, because that doesn't mean that their website is laid out well. You want to Google the keywords that you think people are going to use to come find you, and see who pops up there. What other people what other businesses pop up on Google and then use their website as an opportunity to understand what pages you might be missing or how to just lay out your navigation in a way that works really well. So I like to start with that. And then the second place I start is with keyword research. A lot of times I can find so many unique pages that make a lot of sense for my clients based on the keywords that people are searching for. So maybe it's a guide or a 101 or a how to, or maybe it's an email freebie, or maybe it's a quiz, different things like that that people are searching for within your industry. A lot of times this works really well when you think about product businesses. So from a keyword research perspective, what other categories could you lump your products in? Best sellers, could you create a category specifically for a type of shopper or a season? So just thinking through what all of those categories could be for your business and then building pages for them and making sure you have a solid map of all the pages on your website and how you're going to navigate it. I talk about Google Search Console all the time, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, but Google Search Console uses something called a sitemap, and it's literally the map of your website. So that's what we're thinking of right now. We are thinking of that map of our website and how people are going to navigate our website through all the pages, interweaving throughout them, through your core navigation pages, but then even drilling down to some of those minor pages that might not be in your core navigation. So if this is something you haven't thought of or you need to do, this should be your step number one. So go head over to the show notes and grab our template from Canva if that's something that you think that you would like and would make that process easier for you as well. So let's talk about number two. I want you to avoid pages with little content. So as you look at that map of your website, or say you are already halfway through building your website and you're like, Abby, I didn't do that map part. It's okay. It's not, you can do this anytime. You can do this if your website is live right now, laying out a map of your website to understand what pages you're going to build in the future, or how to consolidate pages to make sure that they are working really well for you. So once you look at the map of your website, I want you to think about the content that's going to live on all of these different pages. Do you have enough unique content? Do you feel like you can speak more than 300 words? Because that is our minimum recommendation for copy on a page. It may not seem like that much, but 300 can be awfully hard if it's just like one sentence or one thing that you're trying to communicate on that page. So I want you to think about that and make sure that you have really rich pages with a lot of content that you can put on there. So oftentimes I make a lot of recommendations to my clients to combine pages like FAQ, contact, location, bookings. Those can all be combined into one page. It's very common for you to see FAQs at the bottom of a contact form, your location information, or ways to book with you. Like, this is someone contacting you. You don't necessarily need new pages for these. You can showcase them all on one page. So make sure you go back to that sitemap and think about it from easy navigation and quality of content on every single page. All right, let's talk about number 3. I want you to optimize images before adding them to your media gallery. So this is a big thing because this comes into play when we talk about something called page speed or Core Web Vitals, which is now a ranking factor. Page speed is a part of Core Web Vitals, and this is something that Google determines whether if your Core Web Vitals are really bad or your page speed is really bad, Google might decide not to show you on the web page at all. So this is really important to make sure that our images aren't super heavy, that our load time is being compromised because of it. But it's also important because we need to make sure that we have alt text in our images that's going to help us be found as well. So alt text is used for 2 purposes. It is the description behind the image, and it's because 1, Google can't read images. So Google can kind of understand what the image is for, but not in the context of your website, and also not well enough. They're just not as good as understanding images as they are words. So one, it's to let search crawlers know what that image is about in context of your website. And two, it's for people who are using screen readers to understand, again, how the image is being used in context of your website. So I've said that a lot. Image in context of your website. And I can't say that enough, because when we think about alt text, we sometimes get so stuck on writing alt text that really uber describes the image. And I can't tell you how many times we have images that correspond with blogs or content on our website, and it's an image of a laptop sitting on a desk, or it's an image of pampas grass, or it's an image of something, a big field of something. And yes, you can write the alt text very descriptively, but what is that image conveying in your website? Like, is it demonstrating your services? Is it communicating a benefit of your product? What is that image doing? You should describe the image and talk about it in the context of your website. And that's the magic on how you can use both a description that communicates something to a screen reader, but also uses keywords for Google. So I want you to think about that. One of the things too is that images can be huge search opportunities. So I was recently doing some research for an Italian tourist company, and a ton of keywords that people are searching for within their industry have the word map in it. People are looking to understand where certain parts of Italy are and what region that accounts for and what that is. And a lot of times, if you think about that, if you're planning to visit the country, you do want to visually see where everything is taking place, how long it's going to take you to navigate from one place to the other. And this is something that works very well for them because they like to specialize in non-touristy areas. So having this opportunity right now, before we build the website, before we navigate through all the pages, to actually have that keyword research done and be able to say, hey, people are looking for maps of this region. Let's make sure we have a visual that corresponds with that keyword so that when people are searching in Google Images section, you pop up and then they click through, come to your website, and realize that you are the company that they've been searching for all along. So keywords can really bring out so much magical opportunities within the map of your website and communicating the visuals and the design and everything as well. So I get this question all the time, and this could be its own episode in and of itself, but I get the question all the time of, when does SEO come in? And I can come in at any point, right? So I always tell my clients that I can come in at any point of the process. Now, if I come in at the very end, there could potentially be some rework, but it's not the end of the world. And I'm never going to have this conversation with you where I'm like, you need to scratch your whole website and start over. I'm basically just going to communicate the opportunities for growth. So what pages can we add in the future? Write this down on your future list so that you know next time you jump in and update your website, or next time you can increase your budget and afford more pages to be built out, because I get that that's also a big caveat to this, is that we can only do so many pages or afford it from a budget standpoint. So that's definitely something that I just like to talk through, is like, these are opportunity areas for growth. Google loves when you continue to update your website. So continue to do that is a positive thing. Don't think of it as needing to be an all one and done thing. So I always tell people I can come in at any point of the process, but I love, love, love to come in at the very beginning, because these keywords can truly help build that map of your website in a way that complements searchers and what they're searching for, and also can influence some of the ways that you design, some of the ways your copywriter is going to use keywords. So it's just so magical when we're doing that. So let's get back to number 3. Because we're talking about optimizing images before adding them to your gallery. So I got off on a little tangent there, but optimizing your images, one, is going to help you from a page speed perspective. And that is really, really important. So I was just doing this the other day for my husband, actually. I was helping to add a new shop page to their website. And so I batched this whole process, and it doesn't take that long to batch. So I'm going to share a little bit about what my process is. So first, I download all of the images web-sized. So always make sure you're downloading web-sized. So for them, they had everything in Canva. So I just simply downloaded it all. made sure it was the right file format, whether that's a PNG or a JPEG. Make sure that PNGs are always being used for graphics, whereas JPEGs are always being used for images. Um, think of it as like designed elements in Canva versus like brand photography images. JPEGs are going to be lighter, PNGs are going to be heavier. So just making sure you use the right format is going to be really important to also save a little bit on image sizes. So anyways, download and into all of your web-sized images and then literally drag and drop them into a tool like Tiny JPEG, Compress PNG, and have that tool compress all your images. So once they're compressed, I download all of those images again, and I drag them all into a folder on my desktop. And then I go through each image and I change the file name to be the alt text that I want to copy and paste. And I find this so much easier just to do this in a folder on my desktop than to do it within my media library, because sometimes media libraries can be really, it just takes a long time. And so once you have all of your images compressed, you're writing the alt text, you drag and drop them into the media library on your website, and now you can start designing and you can start playing with that bucket of photos you have. So I always do this all at one time. It just makes the process so much more simple, and then you have everything to work with. So then you can grab all those images and play around, and you literally copy and paste the file name that's going to be brought into your media library into that alt text box, and you're done. So it's a super easy process when you can batch this ahead of time. So let's jump to number 4. I'm saving the best 2 for last. This is so incredibly important. So I want you to write SEO titles and meta descriptions for every single page of your website. And I cannot stress enough how important this is. If there is only one thing I could do on someone's website, this would be what I do. So if you don't know what these are, that SEO title is that blue clickable link that's going to show up on Google, and the meta description is that black descriptive text underneath it. So one of the things people always freak out about is making sure that meta description is packed with keywords. That black description should be thought of as conversion. People are going to look at the SEO titles, think that a page might be for them, and then read a little bit more in the meta description before clicking through. It helps people make decisions on which web page they're going to navigate to. So this is important, but it's not a ranking factor. So it's not going to determine where you sit on a Google page. So I don't want you to stress about using keywords in that space for your meta description, but I want you to focus on conversion. What's going to get someone to click through and visit your website? So think of it like writing an Instagram caption with a really strong CTA or an ad copy that you're going to be posting on Facebook. And then second, that SEO title. So that blue clickable link is a ranking factor. And it is so, so important to write this with keywords and to make this really powerful. So if you don't know where to find either of these things, just Google it. SEO title for Squarespace, SEO title for Wix, SEO title for Kajabi, whatever it may be, Google it, and then it will pop up for you. An SEO title, typically, your SEO title, your URL slug, and your meta description are all going to live in the same exact place right next to each other. So you can see them all together. So I have a few SEO title tips for you as you are writing these out. So usually for me, I only use brand names in homepage SEO titles. And then I want to lead with keywords everywhere else. So remember, you have one of these for every single page of your website. So remember that map of the sitemap that we are going to create of our entire website. Every page is going to have their own SEO title and their own meta description, because every page has the opportunity to show up on Google and for you to be found for the very first time. So the home page, you want to make sure that people who are searching for you, searching for your brand, searching for your name, can find you. That's super important. So always lead with that for your home page, followed by some keywords to complement it. But for every other page, I typically don't include the brand name, because these pages are for people who don't know us yet. They're people who likely aren't searching our brand name. So I would go ahead and lead with keywords because this is really valuable real estate and it's only about 60 characters that you can use in this space. I also love to focus on location keywords in about or contact pages. So I get this question a lot from my clients. It's, can I optimize for a specific location, but can I also optimize for people everywhere? And the answer is yes, because again, every single page can have a different keyword and a different focus. So I love to narrow in on locations within about pages or contact pages. It's really important too. So if you have multiple locations, so I work with a lot of clients that have multiple locations of whether it's studios or offices or different things like that. And you can have a page for each location, which then lets you optimize your SEO titles individually for each of those locations, giving you the power to show up for each of those locations without having to combine them together. Another tip is that I like to remove the template that adds your brand name to every page of your website. So if you go and look at, so I want you to go to like the top of your browser when you have your website live and hover over the tab. If you're like me, you're going to have 1,000 tabs open. So just hover over the tab that you have your website on. That little pop-up that appears is showing you what your SEO title is. A lot of times you might notice that there's going to be a dash and then your brand name at the end of it. Or sometimes I see dash brand name and .com or just your .com. So that's something that we can remove. And it's usually found in your SEO settings or your SEO appearance for your overall website. So I would remove that because again, it's just going to lengthen up your SEO titles. It's going to make them too long and it's not necessary because we can rewrite these way better than whatever template is going to be set up in there anyways. That template is a fallback to make sure that the content is written. But again, if you are writing these for every page of your website, you don't need that fallback. So finally, let's make sure that all of these SEO titles and meta descriptions are different. I never want you to copy paste because when you copy and paste, Google's going to think it's duplicate content and then Google's going to decide which one it wants to hide. And it's not going to ask you, it's not going to like always make the best decision. It's just going to hide one of your pages and you're going to have to work hard to get it unhidden. So make sure that these are all different. I've noticed this before for our own website where I'm like, why in the world is this page not indexing? Like, why is it not showing up? I'm asking Google to crawl it. I'm asking all of these things and it's just not showing up on Google. And then I'll go in and look and I'll realize that we copied a page from a different website and I forgot to update the SEO title. So even though the entire content on the website is completely different, Google thought it was the same because it saw the SEO title and it just decided to hide it. So that was an opportunity where I could update that, ask Google to recrawl it, and then it got indexed, which is awesome. So if you are feeling super paralyzed by keywords and you're like, yes, I know SEO titles and meta descriptions have been on my list, I just haven't had time to do the keyword research. I know you. I hear it. I want you not to worry about the keyword research. Skip that. Like if that's stressing you out and if that's the barrier to getting you to fill these out, skip it. And then I just want you to fill these out with your imagination. Just guess what your audience is searching for and put that in because it is so much better to have these somewhat filled out now so that they're actually working for you rather than not being filled out or being duplicated or having this template that's not helpful. None of that's going to help you. So I'd rather you just use your imagination, guess, don't overthink it, just write, publish, and then you can come back and update them later. But this is going to help you tremendously. So let's save the best for last. Number 5, I've already talked about this a little bit. I want you to submit your sitemap to Google Search Console. So this is that map of your website. You cannot do this until your website is live. So if you're building a brand new website, this is what I want you to do immediately after you hit publish. Well, I guess not immediately, because first make sure your website works, right? Double check it, do all of that fun stuff. And then I want you to go and submit your sitemap to Google Search Console. So this is super important because it's going to speed up that indexing process, which is going to help your website appear in search results faster. Like I talked about at the beginning, if Google doesn't know you exist, it's going to take an awfully long time for Google to find you unless a lot of people are going to your website right off the get-go. So driving traffic to our website can help speed up this process, but why wouldn't you just tell Google it's here if Google literally gives us a tool that's completely free and lets us tell them we exist? Like, Google's giving us this amazing resource, so why not use it, right? So Google Search Console is that tool. On the left-hand side, you'll see a section for sitemaps, and that is where you can upload your sitemap. So be sure to do that. And if you don't know how to find your sitemap, you just go to your website, and after .com, you hit /, and then you type in sitemap.xml. And that is how you find your sitemap, and you can upload that into Google Search Console. You just paste that URL and plug it in and publish and submit it. So I have one little bonus tip for you. And this is something that I include in every one of our SEO projects now. I've changed this process because it is so dang important. It is that if you have time, I want you to start with a blog. Even if you have your blog homepage and one blog, that's it. Even if it's just one blog, I want you to start. So if you can, and if you have capacity to create a couple blogs when you launch, please do it. Creating this can really help you get found by people who don't yet know you're ready. So I always tell people to think about a blog as this opportunity to catch people in the information phase of their process. So they might not know that they need your services right now. They might not know that you exist, or you might be so niche in your offerings that they literally don't know something like this is out there. And so how are we going to capture them? And that's through creating content that communicates their pain points and something that they're searching for when they don't know that you exist. So this is the power of a blog. It's that opportunity to catch all the people who don't yet know that you are here. So now that we've gone through these 5 tips, I know, and I do this myself, I love to overcomplicate the process. And I love to think about this as like, I got a lot of work to do. Like, I have a whole list of things that I need to think about and update on my website. And now I need a whole day to do it and blah, blah, blah. So I want you to pause because I want to undercomplicate this. So let's make this super easy right now so that when you leave this podcast episode, you already know that, hey, my next CEO day, or hey, I have a couple hours on Monday, I'm going to do this. Then you can do it. We are not going to overcomplicate this. We are going to make this entire process to launch your website super easy, okay? So I want you to spend 1 hour at most, set a timer, make sure you don't go over, because I know I do this all the time for my clients. All of a sudden, I'm hours into researching. So I want you to spend 1 hour researching your competition, typing in keywords you think your audience would search for to find you, visiting their website, browsing it, and just write down notes of things you like and don't like. Now I want you to hold that notebook next to you. After that hour is up, I want you to grab a new sheet of paper or open that template we gave you in Canva and start writing down the layout of your website. I want you to use blocks to outline them and then write those sub-pages underneath, so you have an idea of the entire view of your website, every page on one piece of paper so that you can see it. When you're done with that, I want you to use that batch process to batch your images before you start designing so that they're ready and optimized in your media library. That whole process of me taking all those images, writing all the alt text, took me less than 30 minutes. It is not a difficult process when you batch it all together. And then I want you to spend another 30 minutes or maybe an hour, depending on how many pages you have, writing all of those SEO titles per page. And like I already said before, if you do not have time to do keyword research, that is okay. Just use your imagination, get them filled out. You can come back and do this later. And then finally, once you've hit publish, spend a few minutes. Yes, it only takes a few minutes to manually crawl each page. I have a little YouTube tutorial on that if you have no idea what this is or what I'm talking about or what Google Search Console looks like. So go to our show notes because you can grab that tutorial in there. So in total, we are talking from starting research, writing your map, writing those SEO titles, optimizing your images, and then manually crawling your website. We are talking 2 to 4 hours total. I'm serious. It doesn't need to take that long. You just need to set aside a little bit of time to do this. And if you even plan to do this, like some of this you can do throughout the process. So say you're just getting started and you're working with a web designer, ask them if they do this research for you. So a lot of times web designers want you to come to them with the pages that you've already outlined. They're not going to spend this time doing the keyword research or the competitive research because not all web designers are SEO strategists. So this is something that you might need to think about yourself so that you can share those ideas with them with some competitive examples of things you like and things you don't like. So sometimes that can happen way early. And then the images, again, if you are hiring a web designer, ask if they optimize your images before putting them into your media library so that you know when you jump into your library later, if you want to add images, you know they're already optimized as well. And then again, those minutes it takes to crawl your website, it's not going to take that long. It's super quick and easy. Watch that YouTube tutorial. I think it's 2 minutes long because honestly, it does not take that long to do this. And you're not going to be spending that much time to make sure your website gets found. It is truly worth every single minute because every minute that you have spent on this is the opportunity for so many more people to be able to find you. So please do it. And I am so excited to see your website launch in the new year. This is going to be amazing. If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.